The following is a Comfortably Zoned Radio Network production.
Thank you, Tally Olson. I'm Ralph Tycho with the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network, and it's my pleasure to introduce another episode of God's Miracle with Randy Lerch.
Thank you, Ralph. This is Randy Lerch on the next edition of God's Miracle. I have an exciting thing that I want to discuss right now, and this will be my fourth show, but I've decided to bring on a new co-host to the show, and I would like to introduce Stephén Jordan right now. He's an international lawyer. He's an artist, a best-selling author, and a musician. And boy, what a career already, Stephén, and welcome to the show, my friend.
Well, thank you, and thanks for having me as your co-host. And for all those listeners, Randy and I have been talking over the last month extensively, and I just have to say that we've been talking about the podcast and what a wonderful medium this is for everyone to reach out to people all across the world, and it's an exciting thing. And I'm excited to be here, and I thank you, Randy, for having me here with you. And I appreciate it tremendously.
Well, you're welcome, my friend. I've been talking about myself quite a bit, and for those people that have been listening in, and for those people that haven't yet, my name is Randy Lerch. I'm an ex-Major League Baseball player, and I've written a book called God in the Bullpen, and I met Stephén through this, and he's a best-selling author, and he's a great artist, and he's had a pretty exciting life. Stephén, if you could tell me a little bit about your life right now.
Well, my life is different and similar to yours in many respects, for sure, Randy. You certainly you had talents that I always aspired to have that I didn't have, that I couldn't go on the diamond and do what you did, both from the batter's box and the pitcher's mound. I did both, but at a much lower level than you did. I always aspired to do the same. But nonetheless, what I ended up doing was, to cut it short, I guess, is I was an artist since I was born. I always could draw, I could always paint. Ever since I was like 3 or 4 years old, I already knew that I had an ability that, although I couldn't be a Major League Baseball player, that was the skill that I had, and so I pursued it, and I ended up doing sports illustrations for newspapers and magazines and for websites and for sports organizations like the Boston Red Sox, which is the primary organization that I created artwork for. And I do like program covers, inserts, and I designed logos and stuff like that for the Red Sox, but then also other minor league teams. I did their artwork as well, and including the Maine Guides. The Maine Guides was a AAA team for the Cleveland Indians in the early 80s, and then they went from there, and they from the early 80s, they went bankrupt. They couldn't get people to come to their games, and so they ended up having to sell it at auction, and the Phillies came in and bought it. So I ended up being working for the Phillies, which is really strange because that's Randy's territory. That's where he played professional baseball for most of his career, the majority of his career. And so I did that for years, doing sports illustrations for newspapers, magazines, sports organizations, and from there I went to law school, and from law school I ended up
well, what would be? No, it's okay. But you told me that you started out as a singer in a rock and roll band, and then you told me that you were an artist from the time, or you had a talent for artistry, and from the time that you can remember the first time you drew, and then. Heck, you went from being able to sing. You told me that you sang in a rock and roll band, and even sang the national anthem at a minor league stadium. And I mean, holy cow, man!
I remember having an interview with a law firm, and the law firm they looked at my resume, and it said sang national anthem at a professional baseball game, and the guy, seriously, the lawyer looked at me, and he looked at me, and he asked, "What, did you lose a bet? Did you lose a bet? Like, how would you sing in front of thousands of people?" And no, that was always an instinct for me. And so I sang, I play piano, I play other instruments as well, but primarily I'm a singer. And the AAA team for the Boston Red Sox, the Portland Sea Dogs in Portland, Maine, at Haddock Field, I went out and I sang the national anthem. And I still remember my kids were little, they watched it, and they saw me out there singing, and I was proud. It was a great moment. I loved it. And I didn't blink because I was a performer anyway, singing with a rock band for over 15 years. So and I performed internationally, and same with my art. I sold my art internationally, and I have traveled the world, and that's a beautiful thing, and I love doing it.
That's amazing.
It meant the world to me.
Well, you said I've talked to you and saw that being an author also. I mean, you got into to writing books also, and didn't you sell the book that you wrote that I was asking is one of your favorite and most famous? Wasn't it something you wrote about the old days of the Rat Pack and the guys that were the party guys in the old times, where it kind of reminded me of Tug McGraw and Steve Carlton, Larry Christensen, and all the starting pitchers with the Phillies that we used to go out after the games and in between starts and just raise all kinds of cane. And then when you were telling me that story, and I was telling the story about what was in my book and the shenanigans we were pulling, you said, "Man, that sounds just like the book I wrote." Could you tell a little bit about the old days of the Rat Pack?
Oh man, yeah, Randy. When I was reading your book, and reading about you and Tug, mostly you and Tug, but you and some of the other characters, but you and Tug mostly, it really resonated with what I had already researched and written about in my book about that original Rat Pack. And this isn't the Rat Pack that everybody knows, that everybody loves, and I love as well, Dean Martin Frank Sinatra, Sammy Davis, and those guys. The Rat Pack that I wrote about was before them, and it was in the 20s to the 40s, 1940s, and it was John Barrymore, W.C. Fields, Al Flynn, Anthony Quinn.
Holy cow.
A bunch of other writers and artists of the era, and they held a really close knit, like they were family. They were family, and they relied on each other. And the stories, the things, the troubles that they got into was mind-boggling. And honestly, yes, it was often driven with the fluid of alcohol, and they traveled. And the alcohol didn't have, the direction they were going, and it certainly is exacerbated, like the whole circumstance. But the stories are amazing, and what they accomplished was truly, truly amazing. And kind of like, I have to say, like tag in like you, Randy, what you guys accomplished is truly amazing. And so I don't know. I think about how society perceives people that struggle with difficulties in any circumstance. But I would just ask any person to be patient and to accept that, we're all human. We all make mistakes. But we can accomplish amazing things. But even along the road, there's a ride, and during that ride, we can happen upon any circumstances and any situations and events that just are so powerful that it belongs in a book. And that's why I wrote the book, because there's so many stories. And just like there's so many stories in your book, Randy.
Well, I wrote the book. We had those stories living up to it, but I wouldn't encourage that behavior, even though we had a lot of time. Darn it, I ended up getting cirrhosis out of it, and I think some of those guys ended up dying kind of young. But I think it comes under you live life to its fullest, and what did Tug always say? He said he loaded his shotgun from the end of the barrel. I mean, he was just he knew that by his hard partying and stuff, and that it was sooner or later it was going to catch up with you. But he goes under the pick your poison and live life to its fullest. But that book sounds like just a wonderful read. And obviously, when I was talking to you, you said you had another project in the works that you were going to get into. I know you were picking my brain a little bit. I could only help you for the years I played in as far as baseball nostalgia and stuff like that. But you're a real connoisseur of the game of baseball. You love sports anyway, but you love the game of baseball, and you were asking me questions, about that.
Yeah, sports is in my blood, and baseball especially. I think back over the years. I mean, since I was a little boy, I can, Little League days. I remember home from Little League and tabulating every statistic. If I pitched that day, how many balls, how many strikes, how many earned run average, and all the stats, and batting, the same thing, slugging percentage, on base percentage. I was calculating everything by hand, and at that early age, I was a devout reader. And what was I reading? I was reading sports history. That's all I cared about. I wanted to know about all the professional baseball, all the professional basketball, all the professional football, primarily. Other sports as well, but those were the three prominent. And I just loved it. I loved it. And I couldn't get enough about Babe Ruth, about Christy Mathewson, about Ty Cobb, even about the 1800s and Cap Anson and that whole era. So, yeah, I've studied it, like, immensely. And I've written a lot of articles for different football websites. And I hope there's a lot of my brethren that are listening to this podcast because, and I hope they regularly tune in because I think that they can draw a lot from this and even add to it as guests in the future.
Well, I think I know that as we grow with this podcast, I know I can't wait to learn about the old days. I mean, I remember when I was a kid watching Mickey Mantle. I was telling you, I go back that far, but you know, I remember Bob Feller, who I never watched pitch. But what was great is when I was in the minor leagues, they would have some of the great players like a Bob Feller come around and tell about how it was. And one of the stories, you know, this is before the days of the, you know, the strikes and you know, where they had the unions and stuff. Bob Feller says, I don't know what those guys are complaining about. He says, I won 20 games one year and I was making the same money, and then the next year I won 19, and they cut my salary. He goes, those guys ought to be happy with what they're making. But my point is the era that these guys grew up in is an era that you've studied, and boy, I look forward to it, and as our team grows.
I appreciate it. So the book is substance that I plan that I'm working on right now with my publisher is it's a baseball book, which is way overdue. But it's called Baseball Icons. And baseball icons, I think, I mean, the thesis, I guess, is, to put it in short, is the Hall of Fame, the Baseball Hall of Fame, Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, I think is gone too inclusive. And what that results in is that it weakens, I think, what it means to be in the Hall of Fame. Like, for example, and I don't want to dismiss anybody that has been elected that shouldn't be, but just my point is there's a difference between Babe Ruth and Harold Baines. That's the distinction that I'm trying to make, is that there are certain baseball icons, and I go decade by decade, and I'm looking at the 1910s, the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and straight through, and you look at each decade, and you look at 4 or 5 players that really stood out as the premier icons. That's what the focus of the book is about.
Well, that could have changed. Do you think the Hall of Fame changed when they came in with the DH? Because you know that allowed players that weren't playing in the field to still be able to keep their bat in the lineup, and you know that kept their at bats at a higher level and gave them a chance for the RBIs and you know and all that stuff. It definitely changed a lot at that point. Do you think?
Yeah, it sure did. I think that, and I think of somebody like Paul Molitor, like he played DH for a number of years, but I think he's a Hall of Famer. I really do. But I think you're right. I think that still it allows somebody like a Harold Baines to be able to get in. And he seems to be at present, talking to other, like, baseball historians, that they feel that Harold Baines has, like, become the poster child of what is wrong with the Hall of Fame. And it's sad. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. Harold Baines had a great career. He had a wonderful career. But I'm just, we're trying to talk about who should be in the Hall of Fame. And once we get on that road, I don't know who else is going to come in. I don't know.
Yeah, I can tell you as a pitcher, when I went to the, I started, when I was traded to the American League, I think Harold Baines was with the White Sox then. One thing's for sure, he was a great hitter. But, he was a great hitter. Stephén, tell me, you've been traveling like crazy. You tell me that every time I turn around, you tell me that, I'm traveling here, I'm traveling there, and I mean, where do you actually, where are you born and raised, and where are you from? So the listeners can learn a little bit about you. I hear you chuckling there. Do you have a place where you call home, or or what?
Well, where I call home is New England, and people say, "Oh, that's more than one state." But I was born in Rhode Island. Spent not most, but a large part of my childhood in Connecticut. I went to law school and college in Maine, the state of Maine, and started practice law in New Hampshire. So I'm New England. I'm New England. So that's. It's not like California where you can like those California state lines that it goes up the whole coast and or most of it. And but New England, it's small. You can travel. Like I had a friend that came from Los Angeles, and she came out and she visited me in New Hampshire, and she goes, "Oh my God, I can't believe you can just go like a couple hours and you're in 3-4 different states." And that's New England. So I consider New England my home.
Well, I'll tell you, for sure.
I have a question for you, Randy.
Sure.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
I was looking at some statistics of your career, and I'm looking at some Hall of Famers that you opposed. And if I had to ask you, what hitter that you faced that was your number one nemesis that crushed you, who do you think crushed you the best?
That is a great question. You know what? Do you know the answer? Okay, I'm going to tell you that I could not get Bill Matlock. Matlock with the Pittsburgh Pirates, Chicago Cubs out. He had that short, compact swing, and he stood right on top of the plate. And I like to, I threw two types of fastball. I would throw a two-seam fastball that would sink and tail away, by being a left-hander, which I was and am. The ball would tail and sink away from a right-hander, but with him standing right on top of the plate, he was able to reach those pitches. And then if you threw the ball inside, he just had a short, compact swing. And I don't know if you remember Art Howe with the Houston Astros. I couldn't get that guy out. You know, these guys they weren't Hall of Famers or Hall of Fame names, but they were great players. But
those two names. But the Hall of Famer that seems to be a nemesis was, I'm pulling it up right now. It looks to me like Gary Carter. And he was your teammate, right?
He was. You know, if I would have known that, you know, I would have had to have a long talk with Gary about that. Maybe when he was catching me, you know, maybe throw a few more balls in the dirt and stuff, and you know, just tell him, hey. What did you say?
Maybe that was the advantage for Gary Carter because he knew he was going to throw.
Yeah, well, he was a great. You know what? I don't mind. Gary was not only a great guy, but he was a great hitter. It's just, it's a great loss not having him in the world anymore. Hey, do you remember what you promised me today? You promised me that you were gonna, you know, I couldn't believe it. You know, the great writer that you are, and then you tell me that you know, artwork. Being an artist comes so much more natural for you, and you told me that you were going to stop by and do a portrait of me in the powder blue Phillies uniform, an action shot. And I told you, I said, okay, we're going to find out if you're any good because I'd like you to trim about an inch or two off this big nose of mine, and you seem to think that was pretty funny. Yeah, well, that would be a big honor.
I could do that. I would be happy. I could trim your nose. I can, you know, if I could even take some inches off your side frame. A little bit.
Just don't put any warts on the end of it, okay? But, well, I was talking to Ralph Tycho last week, and we were talking about this time of year, and you know, pitchers and catchers are showing up in spring training, and you know, the blood's starting to boil. Where I was telling Ralph that you know, I get still, even as an old man now, I get that itch to go there, and I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to the season getting started.
I get the same itch, and I wasn't a major leaguer like you, but it's in my blood, and I feel the same time, same thing every time in the spring. And I'm just looking at some numbers right now. I'm looking at. Do you know how you did against Johnny Bench?
I don't think Johnny hit me real good. I think he hit Carlson real good.
You owned him.
Yeah.
You owned him. He did not hit you well enough. Wow, Johnny Bench, 26 at bats, and he had 5 hits, and an OPS of 560. You owned him. You know what else you owned? Reggie Jackson.
Oh, I owned Reggie. I owned Reggie Jackson. Matter of fact, the last time I pitched against him was in the playoffs in I believe it was 1981. The Brewers against the Yankees, and I struck him out twice in that game, and I left that game in a 3-1 lead in the 7th inning. I pitched 6 full innings, 3-hitter, and I ended up, the game got tied up, but I ended up being a part of the first playoff win in the Milwaukee Brewers history. So, but you know who hit me good with the Yankees was Greg Nettles. I tried to throw the ball in on him, and he would step away from the inside pitch, and that short fence in Yankee Stadium, he was so used to just serving it over that fence. So You know, I remember Howard Cosell. He goes, he did, I can do Howard a little bit. He goes, here's Randy Lerch. This is Greg Nettles hitting off at him, and Nettles mauls him. And I go, you know what, Howard? You know, at least you could say something nice. I mean, this, you know, after that, Howard Cosell was not my favorite person, you know, but anyway. But I think, you know what, I think, Stephén, you and I are going to have a great thing going. I mean, I'm a rookie at this, and just excited about having this show and doing it with you, my friend, and we just look forward to doing God's miracle every week. What do you think?
Yeah, I think with get along, and we can talk about so many different things, so many different subjects, and bounce it back and forth. That I feel good about it, and I think you're the perfect partner for me. We've been talking offline, and we've already become, you know, good buddies, and I think that's a wonderful thing. And I want to talk some more too later when we get together in future broadcasts or podcasts that about you and Ted and your relationship. I just want you to speak about your relationship a little bit with them. We don't have to do it now, but I think, and that's kind of what I feel right now, what I think that you two shared, and so I think it's a wonderful thing.
Can I plead the fifth if I need to, or you know? There you go. I like that. But shoot, man, this has been great. I think this is going to be a good marriage, my friend. And you know, if Ralph Tycho, you know, it's his network. So if he doesn't fire me, you know, and get you another partner, we'll be good. But I look forward to next week, my friend.
I do too. So did we cover the time frame?
Yep. So we could go on all day, but we're going to say goodbye right now. I want to say thank you to all our listeners. This has been great fun for me, and it's great fun having Stephén in there. And you know, I think this is the fourth podcast of God's Miracle, and on the Comfortably Zoned Radio Network. And we'll talk to you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye, everyone.
The proceeding has been a Comfortably Zoned Network production. You are advised to keep your dreams wet, your humor dry, your children and grandchildren out of military recruiting offices and off the laps of clerics who wear dresses. Thank you for listening, everyone. Happy trails.